May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC, Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, preserving the legacy of Shunryu Suzuki and those whose paths crossed his, and anything else that comes to mind. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable and free from economic hardship and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So today there's a brief memory, and this one is from Charlie Guilford. Yeah, cool guy. So let's see what Charlie has to say. Friday is a day off, and when I awoke this morning, this beautiful sunny morning, I saw that on the nightstand was To Shine One Corner of the World. I read some of the little anecdotes about Suzuki Roshi again for the first time in a long time, and was reminded that you've asked for several times for a couple of my own stories about Suzuki Roshi. Remember the first time you asked me over the phone if I had any stories of my own? My immediate reaction was, well, no. And then I realized that, of course, I did. These are among the anchor points which have been with me for a long time. It has taken years to realize that they are what they are, and for them to bite in and deepen. But since they have been with me for so long, they come back to me through these 40 years, and this is written 13 years ago, with attachments, JPEGs, and PDFs, details, and digressions, and pictures and people. In your books, these stories would have taken 3 sentences, but for me, there are volumes in them. I send bits of a couple of them to you in gratitude for those little gems in your collection. So I'm going to read the first one, and then tomorrow I'll read the next one. We'll see. That's what I have in mind right now. Back in the day, the flop room was off the kitchen at Page Street and the city center, and had a wonderful patchwork carpet made by Van Voorhees, who installed carpet for a living. He had pieced it together from scraps left over from various jobs. There was a large low table in there for which I made some legs. Whoever asked me to do that also told me that some legendary character from Zen Center's past had once smuggled dope inside the hollow top. I remember that. God, I've never thought of that, but I remember that. Part of the heritage. People could lie around the flop room and relax and have a cup of tea, but there was a rule that food was not allowed in there because they tended to leave a mess which got in the carpet and someone else had to clean it up. Neatening up the flop room was one of the regular chores. Difficult rule. It was so close to where the food was, after all. During question time after one of Suzuki Roshi's lectures, Craig Boyan raised his hand. Craig's head was shaved. I remember lots of people did that then. It was in the era before Katagiri declared that because we had to be able to tell the feces from the miso, only priests should shave their heads. Personally, I found an interesting ambiguity in that. As I heard it, it was an open question. Which was which? Craig had an interesting head. He said to Suzuki Roshi, I have a problem. There is a rule that people are not supposed to eat in the flop room, but I often go in there, and there are people eating anyway. I want to say something to them, But I feel funny about doing that because who am I to be telling other people what to do? I don't feel quite right about saying something, but it also bothers me that I don't. Suzuki Roshi said, "Why don't you do it anyway and see what happens?" Okay, and then Charlie concludes that with, among other things, give your cow a big pasture. That's from a story in Zen Mind Beginner's Mind, one of the lectures Suzuki gave at Los Altos, where he said the best way to control people is to give them a big pasture. Okay, so that's enough for today. This is interesting. He said, Katagiri said you had to tell the feces from the miso. God, I'd never heard of that before. It was Tatsugami, visiting the guest teacher for 3 practice periods at Tassajara, who eliminated us shaving our heads. Now, maybe Katagiri felt the same way and said that or explained it in that way. But the guys were shaving their heads. They didn't have to. But we all were. We had been doing it since we started Tassajara in 67. So Tatsugami came in the spring of 70 and said, you're not monks. Why are you shaving your heads? So you shouldn't do it if you're not monks. So we didn't. We all stopped, I think. Maybe some people kept going, but generally everybody stopped. But maybe that was Katagiri's explanation of that. Anyway, that's neat. And I forgot Van's rug. Van's a monk in Tibetan tradition now, and he's living down in Oaxaca. Okay. This has been a Cuke Audio mini podcast, A Brief Memory. I'm DC Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sonora with Doggett Bandita, Feline Cuchita, and dear lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.